Well, hello there, everybody, and welcome to a brand new edition of On to the Next One. Yes, we are back. The matchmaking crowns have returned following UFC 313, which went down last night into the early hours of this morning at T-Mobile Arena in Las Vegas, Nevada. For the first time in 2025, we have a new UFC champion. It is Magomed Ankalaev defeats Alex Pereira in the main event via unanimous decision, which capped off a pretty good card, honestly. The main event, I think, left a lot to be desired for a lot of fans, but we did have something we have not seen this year, a champion losing their belts, and Magomed Ankalaev finally cashes in on the promise that people have had for him for many years as being the best light heavyweight in the world. So congratulations to Magomed Ankalaev. We'll discuss what is next for him, for Alex Pereira, and for other winners on this card on this day after. And hopefully you guys set your clocks an hour later. We lost an hour of sleep, and boy, can I feel it. But I am Mike Heck, and joining me is the co-host, the co-matchmaker, the Prince of Positivity, my best friend, and a man who also lost an hour of sleep, Mr. Alexander K. Lee. AK, how we doing? Are you a zombie like I this morning?
My best friend, I'm not, because you know what? Big Ank time. Big Ank time. Come on, people in the chat. Big Ank time. This is the new Shama. Apparently, it's very catchy. I think we all saw. This is I believe he unveiled this catchphrase, the new light heavyweight champion that is, at the post-fight press conference. Big Ank time. Mike, you didn't join me in the chant, neither clapping nor. It's going to take some time to get used to, or.
You know, big Ank time. Big Ank time. Maybe
right?
It's just because I'm tired.
Yeah. Just.
I don't know.
It wasn't a definitive. I mean, I think so. I know you had been picking Pereira forever. I did pick Ankalaev, but I did think if Pereira's reign was going to end, it was going to end in like a dramatic way, because I thought that's like, we saw he lost the middleweight title in a dramatic way. All his title fights were exciting, and I actually did think we would see a late finish by Ankalaev. Like I thought if Pereira was going to lose the belt, that it would have been, if not an exciting fight, at least an exciting moment. Like we wouldn't have had any questions by the end of the night. I don't think we have too many questions now, but I'm with you. I know you and Jed talked about this in the post-fight show. A close fight, certainly not the most exciting fight. I have no problem with Ankalaev winning. Scoring live, I had 48-47 Pereira. I think you were with me, right? 1, 3, and 5 if you were going to give the fight to the now former champion. But again, I actually had no problem with any of the scorecards. Sal Diamato's 49-46 was a little bit strange, but I didn't even think round 4 Ankalaev was that bad. I have not rewatched it. So at the moment I was like, 49-46 is funny. But I think anyone who rewatches this fight isn't going to be like, oh man, Pereira was robbed. Like, no, he probably did enough to keep it, but clearly Ankalaev also did enough to take it. It was not Pereira's best performance. I thought Ankalaev was great. I just got, this is me being, I guess, Prince of Positivity here, Mike. I know. We all know that he's not going to be a Pereira-esque champion. Probably won't be as active. Probably is not going to give us those same incredible highlight reel knockouts. Doesn't have the aura of Alex Pereira, but that's fine. I'm actually just kind of glad to see some change at the top of the division. We've had a bunch of title fights this year, and we finally saw one change, so that's cool. And depending what our matchmaking is for this fight, Mike, the situation could rectify itself quickly. So I don't know how long Ankalaev's going to be at the top. But congratulations to him. A very, very, very good performance.
So I did something that I don't think a lot of other people are going to do today or any other day. I rewatched the fight this morning. Despite losing an hour of sleep, I watched the main event a second time, because when you're doing the watch party, there's a lot happening. There's live chats. You're making sure that everything looks good. You're trying to be as entertaining as possible as all of this is going on. And sometimes you score things in a way, and because there's so much going on, maybe you don't give the fight the attention it deserves. Upon reflection on this rewatch, there's a couple of things that I took away from this. One, I scored it live for Alex Pereira, 1-3-5. I thought rounds 1 and 5 were incredibly clear for Alex Pereira. I thought 2 and 4 were incredibly clear for Magomed Ankalaev. Round 3 was up in the air, and I think there's one moment, and even going back into our Slack channels and seeing what I saw on social media, there's one moment that kind of led people towards scoring it for Ankalaev. Ankalaev lands a good punch on Pereira, and Pereira kind of like loses his footing for a second. And even on the broadcast, they said like, oh, I think that shot hurt him, or yeah, that shot made Pereira stumble a little bit. And even in our Slack channel, I saw some people saying, yeah, he hurt Pereira with that shot in the third round. I don't think that was the case. I think he landed a good punch, certainly, but I don't think Pereira was like hurt like he was in the second round. Like the second round, he was hurt. And I saw Tracy Cortez tweet that he was saved by the bell. I don't think that was true either, but he was definitely rocked in that second round. Upon the rewatch, I still scored the third round for Alex Pereira, but this is not a robbery by any stretch of the imagination. If you scored that third round for Ankalaev, I got no issue with it. It's a coin flip round. Having said that, here's my biggest reflection of all of this. And I see a lot of people, I haven't really looked at the comments here, but I saw on the post-fight show, certainly saw it on the watch party, I've seen it all over social media. A lot of people blaming Magomed Ankalaev for this fight being what it was and going down the way that it was. And there was a part of me last night, maybe just the adrenaline dump of all of it, that was like, okay, like it's just a workman-like win by a guy who has lots of workman-like wins. I place almost all of the blame on Alex Pereira here. And again, if you watch the UFC 276 post-fight show, Israel Adesanya and Jared Cannonier had a terrible main event. It was awful, and Adesanya cruised to an easy decision win, and a lot of people blamed Adesanya for that. I blamed Cannonier for that. When you hand a guy a win, especially if you're Magomed Ankalaev, who knew that at the end of the day, this was going to be his last chance to fight for a belt ever. If he lost this fight, they were never, ever, ever, ever going to give him another title shot. They didn't want to give him this one. And you could see Dana's reaction at the end of the fight when he found out who won, and you saw Dana White's reaction at the post-fight press conference, even though he kept it pro the entire time. He wanted to shit on this fight. He wanted to shit on Ankalaev's performance, but he didn't, and I give him a lot of credit for that. Alex Pereira handed Magomed Ankalaev the freaking light heavyweight title last night. Pereira did not have his fastball. He did not have his changeup. He did not have his curveball. And I see Gabe Dean in here saying, okay, Pereira won because he stuffed all the takedowns. You don't score points for stuffing takedowns. You actually have to do stuff. And I thought Pereira did enough to win, but this is not a robbery by any stretch of the imagination. Alex Pereira gave that belt away last night, and Magomed Ankalaev took it with a Magomed Ankalaev type performance, and he won the fight. So I don't think you can blame Ankalaev for this. I think all the blame for this fight not being thrilling goes to Alex Pereira.
I agree with literally everything you said. I think you and Jed broke it down perfectly. Yeah, it's harsh to say. It just wasn't Pereira's night. We've said this. One of the things I was saying a lot going into this fight is it's hard to defend your title a lot, guys. I know that seems obvious. I know we've seen some great champions run off 4, 5, 6 straight title defenses, but I don't think like people appreciate sometimes how amazing it is. I don't know if they took for granted like how good Pereira is and was able to pull off that 3-0. 2024 in championship fights, brilliant run. But sometimes it's just not your day. And that's why like those old runs of like GSP and Mighty Mouse and Anderson Silva of like 7, 8, 9, John Jones, 10 straight title fights. It's so incredible because you have to always be on. You have to always be bringing it, or at least be able to do enough to get you over the top. And all these champions had days where they weren't at their best. George St. Pierre had the Johnny Hendricks fight where you could argue he lost it, somehow did enough to retain according to the judges. Anderson Silva has had some stinkers, absolute stinkers, like fights that he won, but we will never watch again. Terrible fights. Even DJ dominant as he is, I think there's some fights that people just don't talk about, just don't care for. Not because he didn't win, they're just forgettable. It happens. And sometimes you're so off your game that you actually lose, and that's what happened to Alex Pereira. And I want to give so much credit to Ankalaev. It wasn't exciting. I want people to look at if you guys ever decide to rewatch this fight, which if you don't blame me. Watch his footwork in this fight. Ankalaev's footwork in this fight was unbelievable. The way he controlled the range, it wasn't as simple as like, oh, he's just going to come forward and that's going to throw Alex off. That was certainly the overarching game plan, and it worked. But to do that is obviously easier said than done. You want to advance on Alex Pereira, you might get your head taken off. But I think his movement was so. I'll go as far as say beautiful. I know the fight is not going to be described that way. I think his movement was beautiful. Watch his footwork. Mike, have you ever Have you ever listened to a song or an album and just said, you know what, I'm just going to listen to the bass. I'm just going to listen to the bass of this song, or I'm just focusing on the percussion. I'm just focusing on the drums. Or I'm just going to focus on the keyboard. Have you ever done that before? It gives you new appreciation for songs sometimes, right? There's like songs like, wow, I didn't realize the drums in what's that Vanessa Carlton song, A Thousand Miles is so good. Something like whatever. Do that with this, as I'm with guys who haven't had a lot of sleep. Do this with the Ankalaev fight, guys. If you watch just parts of it again, watch how he moves, watch how he controls the distance. It was masterful. It wasn't exciting. If anything, the focus was probably on making the fight as unexciting as possible in the stand-up, and to capitalize into any big openings, which Alex didn't give, but he also didn't create any openings for himself. So that's really how the fight was won. It was tactically, I thought, a really, really well fought battle. And I thought both guys fought hard. It was this kind of style matchup where neither guy could afford to make a mistake. Neither guy made any big mistakes. And that's kind of what you get in this 25-minute fight. We have a new champion, and I know some people will love it, some won't. Dana White, probably not that enthused about it.
No, he's certainly not. And look, here's the other takeaways, and then we'll get into the matchmaking. One, I'm still picking Alex Pereira in the rematch. And just to spoil it, I'm going with it. I hate it, and I'll explain why in a second.
Yeah, me too.
I hate it so much. I don't want to do it. And secondly, the biggest question I have is just how good is Paul Craig? How good is Paul Craig? Because the man defeated and finished Magomed Ankalaev, and maybe he should get the first title shot. Who the hell knows? But let's just get right into the matchmaking, AK. I'm going with the rematch here. Yeah. Again, I don't love it. I kind of want just to see what this reign will look like from Magomed Ankalaev at this point. Like, he's finally gotten there. I will probably still pick Pereira in the rematch, because I think if Pereira brings his fastball, he wins this fight more up like 7 out of 10 times. And I still think even without his fastball, changeup, maybe even his curveball being left at home, I still thought he won this fight. But again, I totally understand people scoring it for Ankalaev, and if I watch it again, maybe I'll have a different perspective on it. It's fine. I've watched it twice. Third round is just so damn close. I kind of just want to see Ankalaev fight Yuri Prochazka. If I had a choice, that's the fight I would make, just because it's fresh and it's super weird and interesting. And I would like to see Pereira go up to heavyweight and try to tackle something different. But I think we're going to get the rematch. That's the official pick. And sure, there you go.
Yeah, Ankalaev has a lot of fun. I'm with you, Mike. I'm going the rematch. Ankalaev has a lot of options at 205. Guys who have previously fought for the title, but also guys who I think fans would be happy to see fight for the title again. Yuri, Jamal Hill, Kilo Roundtree, who's fighting Jamal Hill, of course. We got Carlos Ulberg coming up. Jan Blachowicz still out there. I mean, he could beat Ulberg. He gets his title shot. So so he has options. So that's good. But I'm going with the rematch, not because I don't think either of us are waving a magic wand here. I think we're kind of going crystal ball-y, right? I think we just think Pereira, I don't think is going to be off for a long time. He did say after, like, oh, I'm not really hurt. And it's true. Neither guy did like crazy amount of damage to the other guy. And then Ankalaev will be happy to book his next title fight like as soon as possible. So I don't know if we see them necessarily like June or July, first International Fight Week or something. I doubt that. But August, yeah, I could totally see them booking this as a main, whatever the August pay-per-view is. This being the main event for that. You run it back. Oh, what's going? Why? Why? You're shaking your head.
No, we're going. This fight ain't happening until the fall.
Oh, well, okay.
Either go back to it'll be October, Abu Dhabi. That's when this fight's
That's
happening.
what Ankalaev said is where he would like to defend his title. So, but if Pereira's ready to go, I don't know if they have a choice. I don't know if they want to wait that long. So I still think it can happen earlier. But yes, this is what we feel like is going to happen. It just feels like the obvious thing to do. Alex Pereira just still has so much star power. His run was they give rematches for guys with no title defenses. So I think 3 memorable title defenses is enough to earn him another shot. So it's not like my number one pick. Still curious to see Pereira move up someday, just for poops and giggles. Even if it's not like Aspinall or John Jones, I would love to see him just go up there and fight one of the top 5, top 6 heavyweights to see how that goes, just for fun. So and that can still happen eventually, no matter what happens in an Ankalaev rematch. So UFC I think just starts working on this one now and figures out what to do with Pereira, possibly changing divisions, or someone else changes divisions to fight him later.
So we have sort of a roundup of the event where we answer different questions, and one of the questions we're going to get is, who is the biggest loser of UFC 313? I went outside the box with my pick, and I'll leave that for you guys all to see tomorrow, because it's not any of the fighters on the card. it is a completely different thing. But I will say, if we're looking at it from a fighter and a divisional perspective, the biggest loser at UFC 313 was Jan Blachowicz. If he beats Carlos Ulberg, if he nukes Carlos Ulberg, the UFC is never booking Magomed Ankalaev versus Jan Blachowicz 2. No friggin' chance after UFC 282. It's just never, ever going to happen. So Blachowicz watching Magomed Ankalaev put the light heavyweight title around his waist, there's just no chance he's getting a title shot, no matter what happens in London. So I think he's the biggest loser. But
and that first fight wasn't even bad, but Dana White hated it. He hated
Exactly.
that fight so much, and that was a good fight. I actually thought it was a good fight. I thought that Blachowicz and Ankalaev was a fine fight, but Dana White was so mad after. So mad at both guys.
Good fight. Good fight is probably a touch of a stretch, but a fine
dramatic.
fight.
Yeah.
Fine fight. Yeah, dramatic. Good. It wasn't a good fight, but it wasn't as bad as Dana laid it out that day. That's for sure. So let's move on to the co-main event. Justin Gaethje gets it done. Rematch with Rafael Fiziev. Fight of the night. Not a shocker. I have to go back and rewatch the first fight. I actually think this fight was better than the first one, just top of mind, but maybe it's just recency bias. I'm not really sure, but it was a lot of fun. Justin Gaethje hurts Fiziev in round 2, almost gets him out of there. Fiziev is tough as hell. Took this fight on a little under 2 weeks notice. Absolutely incredible shit. And Justin Gaethje goes out and does the damn thing. And he's asked what he wants next. And he's like, yo, I need to get back in shape because I want to fight Islam Makhachev. And in this division, AK, there is a very real world where that could happen. But is that what is going to happen in your mind, AK? What is next for Justin Gaethje after getting back in the win column?
Yeah, I think, I'm not proud. I think I just went boring with the Dan Hooker rebooking. This was the fear. This was the criticism that Jed was really in on. Just like almost no matter what happens, like even if Gaethje had scored like I think like a huge first round knockout of Fiziev, it's just it just doesn't move the needle for him as far as being a contender, as far as the rankings. I loved the fight. Like I loved the fight being booked. I loved the fight as it played out. But I totally understand what Jed was saying. It was much more fun to imagine, Gaethje in a fresh matchup with Dan Hooker. So we can still do that. If you're Gaethje, it's probably has a bit of a sour taste now. The fight probably had a best before date. And whenever they're able to like start talking about booking that fight again, if they decide to, it'll probably be past that date in Gaethje's mind. So I don't know. This is almost more of a crystal ball thing. I think that's what they'll do. Mike, I have two questions. Obviously, which way did you go? And also, Jed said that you can't book Gaethje in a boring fight, and I think he's probably right. Like I actually went through the list of whatever the 70 lightweights that are on the UFC roster. I couldn't find a matchup where I was like, oh, this would definitely suck, because it's either it's a competitive fight with like someone in the top 30, or you go outside the top 30 and it's someone that like is just he's gonna blast, or is just gonna go wild and throw caution to the wind against him and have a fun time. So I do have an answer, but I had to cheat a little bit. I'm curious. Yeah, where did you go? And is there a boring fight at 155 for Gaethje? Probably not, right? It's impossible.
No. I would say like Mateusz Gamrot is probably like the worst option. But there's just zero chance Mateusz Gamrot gets this fight, because if the UFC wanted to see that, Mateusz Gamrot would have gotten this fight and not Rafael Fiziev. So there's just no, and even then, like Gamrot versus Dan Hooker was incredibly fun. Mm-hmm. So it's not like Gamrot can't be fun in there. This was tough, man, because lightweight is just so bizarre right now. And especially with this Ilia Topuria move and the tweet of "you'll never believe what just happened" kind of thing. Is it Topuria doing the John Jones thing where he's like, I'm going to help Spain fight medical insurance fraud or something like that? Or is this because if Dana White goes on Instagram right now and says, hey, Islam Makhachev's fighting Ilia Topuria, like, we'll believe that. We see that coming. But if he announces, hey, Ilia Topuria is going to fight Conor McGregor, International Fight Week, like out of nowhere, yeah, that might throw people off a little bit. And then you kind of look at it like, well, then what happens? So I'm going to play the fun game and just see what happens. Because I would like to see, and I've been very vocal about this, I would like to see Ilia Topuria win a fight at lightweight before fighting for the belt. And Jai Herbert is not the one. I'm sorry. I know he's got a lightweight win, but Jai Herbert is like, no disrespect, the 70th best lightweight in the world. Conor McGregor is probably like the 50th best lightweight in the world currently, but Conor is still a big enough name. And if you beat Conor McGregor in a main event in a big stage like that, sure, you made weight, you win, you finish Conor, you get a title shot. It's a huge moment, catapults him massive. So let's just say, let's do this the correct way. Let's give Charles Oliveira his shot at Islam Makhachev because he's fought in 17 number one contender fights, won almost all of them, just had one in November against Michael Chandler, beat the shit out of Michael Chandler for 25 minutes. Give this man his opportunity to fight for the belt again. And then Islam Makhachev could kind of decide what he wants to do from there. Does he want to go up to 170? He could wait to see if Jack Della Maddalena beats Bilal Muhammad. If he does, we know that's what's going to happen. So then where do we go? It's Justin Gaethje versus Arman Tsarukyan, AK. Just give me that. I am incredibly fascinated by what that fight looks like. Gaethje's style against Tsarukyan style. That's just compelling shit, man. So that's the fight I'm going with. Oliveira finally gets his title shot. I don't think it goes well for do Bronx, but let's give this man one last crack at it. He's earned it. He did what was asked of him. And who knows? If we have some weird shit going on, they book this fight and Oliveira can't go, Gaethje can step in, fight for the belt, and go from there. So, yeah, Gaethje versus Tsarukyan is what I want to see. Do I feel confident this is the fight that will happen? No, not at all.
Yeah, I waved the magic wand last time, wanting to see them just keep the Islam Arman fight intact after Arman withdrew. But we have heard at that night up, Dana White was like, no, I'm not. Arman has lost his spot. And we have heard no rumblings, no rumors, no indication that UFC is changing their mind on that. Again, you never know. The timing could work out where, again, they just, they need a main event for whatever day, month. And then it's just like, well, this guy's injured. This thing didn't work out. Arman is still there. No, we don't want him to. Yes, we want him to earn his title shot again, but Makhachev wants to defend. You know what? Screw it. Just book Arman. So I'm still holding on to hope that happens somehow. It is definitely not plan number 1, 2, or 3 for the UFC, unfortunately. And Mike, to answer the other hypothetical question, I think if you want to create a boring Justin Gaethje fight, can he go up to 185 or something? Can he go up and fight like Jacob Malkoun? I think that's maybe the only way. And even then, he'd probably give Jacob Malkoun like the most exciting fight of his life. So I don't even know if it's possible. The man is just such a joy to watch, a pleasure to watch, Justin Gaethje. And apologies, Jacob Malkoun. I'm always picking on him when I talk about I just cannot remember any of his fights for whatever reason. He's a good fighter. So Jacob, if you're out there, I don't mean to diss you. It's just it's an issue with me probably that I can't remember your fights for some reason. But yes, I'm just bringing up a random example of someone who would be a really weird fight for Gaethje and probably stylistically not produce the most exciting bout. But no, Gaethje could fight anyone at 155 and I'll be tuning. Everyone will be tuning in and everyone will have a good time. And he's probably going to win another bonus or 2. I should mention fight of the night again for him and Fiziev. This has only happened like a handful of times. I want to shout out to people on, I immediately tweeted after, how many times has the same fight won fight of the night? And apparently a handful of times. I thought it was way more rare. People, of course, reminded me off the top of my head, I totally forgot. Conor McGregor and Nate Diaz, both fights won fight of the night, obviously. 2 of the Figgy Moreno fights, Tito and Forrest, 2 of their fights, the first one and the last one. What was the other ones? I mentioned Sam Stout and Spencer Fisher also fought 3 times. 2 of those won fight of the night. So there was a handful. Oh, and of course, shout out to HQ, HQTRED on Twitter. How could I forget Mike? Charles Oliveira and Nick Lentz. The immortal trilogy. 2 of those fights won. But I think one was overturned to a no contest, but it doesn't matter. Did win fight of the night. So yes, I apologize. I forgot some of these. And shout out to everyone on Twitter who helped me out with those answers because it happens. But it's rare. It's rare and a testament really to Gaethje and Fiziev. Congrats to those guys.
There is only one fight that I think could be very boring for Justin Gaethje.
At 155.
It could be. Grant Dawson.
I don't know. I think he'd bring him. I think he'd bring something out of Grant. I agree. That is. I saw that name.
Well, either he just wrecks Grant like early with a knockout, or Grant tackles him a whole bunch and wins in Grant Dawson-esque style, like he did against Diego Ferreira. But still, it's very difficult. It's not boring, but if there's one that would be like a -170 to be the most boring, it's probably that.
Yeah. Hypothetical.
So
Hypothetical.
let's just go there. Yeah.
Strictly hypothetical.
That fight's not going to happen.
No,
so
no,
nobody, no, don't worry about it. It's going to be okay. But let's move on to still at lightweight, Ignacio Bahamondes, AK. What a performance. A lot of people thought, listen, man, these are two huge guys. Both guys could strike, but Jalen Turner has more ways to win. What happens if this goes to the floor? It's all Jalen Turner if it goes to the floor. His grappling is better. Ignacio Bahamondes said, all right, man, we'll welcome this to the floor. You can put me on my back, and then I'm just going to submit you. And on top of that, end Jalen Turner's career. Jalen Turner retires at the age of 29. We'll see if that sticks, but huge win for Ignacio Bahamondes. He will now be a ranked fighter come Tuesday. AK, what's next for Ignacio Bahamondes?
Yeah, happy trails to Jalen if he decides to retire. Never too early to do it. Hopefully he's financially secure. He's got other plans, got other eggs in the basket. Always been a really nice guy and an exciting fighter. And it's a shame, some fights just didn't go his way and took some damage in some of those fights. So I still like to see him try 170, but that's not necessarily a move that's going to fix whatever is ailing him in his fighting career. So it's definitely not something like, he has to try 170. Yeah, it'd be fun to see. Might not work. Mike, did you put any thought towards just throwing? I didn't do this. Did you have any thought to just like Ignacio Bahamondes versus Rufi?
Thought about it. Didn't go in that direction.
Okay. I'll go with Feresium. It's just taking two streaking lightweights. It's not like
I like that.
Yeah, I didn't want to go top 15 yet. Ignacio is great. There's still some holes in his game. Just a gigantic lightweight, so physically is always going to be fascinating to watch. Always going to give him some sort of edge in almost any of those matchups. I know Jed was really wanting to see him in physique, which would be just visually hilarious based on the size discrepancy. But no, I'll go Ziam. Just two guys who are on really good streaks right now, and it's the Shark Tank of 155. Someone's got to show out, and someone's gonna move up just that much closer to hopefully shaking out one of those veterans in the top 15.
I went with Beneil Dariush for Ignacio Bahamondes. Sure. I know Beneil Dariush called out Ilia Topuria.
And Rufi called out him, right? Didn't Rufi call out Beneil?
Yes, but I don't.
Okay.
I think, and look, beating King Green is still a great win. And Rufi's knockout was incredible. I was more impressed with Bahamondes' win. I just was. Mm-hmm. That's a great win. And submitting Jalen Turner the way that he did was incredibly impressive. So for me, let's give him the Dariush fight. Dariush has, less than zero chance of getting Ilia Topuria. He just literally has absolutely no chance. So this is kind of where Benny is right now. The best thing Benny Dariush could have hoped for was getting Paddy Pimblett. That was the best thing he could have hoped for after losing the Moicano fight. Paddy's fighting Michael Chandler. So he's going to have to fight one of these two guys. So I'm going to give Bahamondes this opportunity. And Rufi's going to get a good fight too. Maybe slightly a tougher matchup, although you could argue that Dariush could give Bahamondes some fits, and maybe he can. So I went with that direction, and I'll reveal what I did for Rufi, and you can make your revelation as well in a moment.
Yep.
Let's go to Amanda Lemos, AK.
Oh, the one everyone's waiting for. We should have let off with this.
Look, this fight happened, and I'm kind of happy it did because I hit a underdog ticket on Amanda Lemos. The fight went exactly the way I thought it was going to go. She wins. I'm not going to spend a lot of time here. It's tough to book Amanda Lemos. She has legitimately fought everybody in this division except for one person. And I'm going with Yan Xiaonan, win or lose against Verda Jandiroba, because who the fuck else are we going to put her in there with? Because she's literally fought everybody else.
That was the obvious choice. The problem is I think I've made that matchup at least 3 times on this show, and it hasn't happened yet. Win, lose, or draw, of course, against Avirna makes a ton of sense. I just went a different direction. You know what? I just like do a dark kind of here. Like, why not her and Tisha Pennington? I don't know. Someone else she hasn't fought in the division yet. Sure. I don't know, Mike. I don't know. I think it's possible. This is a crystal ball-ish type, a very murky crystal ball prediction. So yeah, whenever Tisha's, gonna fight again, just throw her in there with Amanda and see what happens.
Yes. Speaking of Mauricio Rufi,
we're moving on already.
That's it. We're done.
Oh,
KO, the clubhouse leader for knockout of the year.
Oh.
That was sick, man. It was so quick and out of nowhere that I think people everyone had sort of delayed reactions to it. because you're like, what just happened? Did Green slip and fall? Did the wind blow him over? And then you saw the replay and you were like, oh my God, that was pretty nasty. Spinning heel kick right to the face. Down goes King Green. Mauricio Rufy gets the big win. And now he wants a big fight. He wants Benny Dariush. I don't think he's going to get it, but we're going to live in a world, AK. If my dream comes true, Mauricio Rufy versus Benoit Saint-Denis. Good Lord. Just viciousness, violence, blood. Wait a second. Are we plugging in? Are we plugging in the speakers? Is this about to happen?
Hey, you got to tell. What?
Zach Attack. Get in here, Zach Attack. I mean, AC Slater was at the event last night, so it's only fitting that we count it down. 3, 2, 1. Friends forever.
Yes. Wow. I was actually surprised. I struggled with this one a little bit. I was just looking at one guy's on a losing streak, one guy's on a win streak. Oh, we should but like, why does it matter? Benoit will still be higher ranked after Rufy after this fight. I don't think this earned Rufy the number 15 spot, which is where BSD currently sits in the official UFC rankings. And I also don't think I would assume either of us are looking at this as like, oh, we're just building up Rufy with a guy that he can like gank in the first round because BSD fights are always super exciting. Because I don't think you give up on Benoit Saint-Denis as a prospect either. I know he looks like an older guy, but I think a lot of people forget. I think Saint-Denis has only been fighting pro since 2018. Now, it's a bit of a weird situation because he's been fighting in France where it just like wasn't even legal until around 2018-ish, something like that. So I'm sure he's had some other fighting experience, just that's sort of undocumented or off the record. But yeah, he's still really new to this game. So Rufy would definitely be at least a 2-1, maybe 3-1 favorite going to that. But don't count out BSD, man. I still think there's something with this guy. And if he beats Rufy, I think he gets some of that steam back. Again, holds on to his ranking. We can start talking about moving him up the rankings again. And more importantly, forget rankings, forget all that stuff. Like, just what an awesome fight on paper. Like, that's take the under. Someone's getting real badly hurt. So I love it, Mike. Yeah, I think a solid friends forever pick. And I shouldn't have been surprised. I should have known that you would pick something so good.
For all the newcomers here who are watching this for the first time or just joining our channel for the first time, I think this is an important lesson for everybody. BSD is booked. What happened to the BSD versus Alvarez fight? My question, I will answer your question with a question of my own. Did you see BSD versus Joel Alvarez on MMAfighting.com? I sure didn't, which means it ain't real. And I'll leave it at that. It was reported, was like explicitly told. I got LOLs from people I asked about that fight because it was so untrue. So that is not a thing that is real. I'm not saying that it could not happen. Benoit Saint-Denis is not fighting Joel Alvarez at UFC 314. Joseph Boza, that fight is not on the books. And they actually revealed the main card and featured prelims for UFC 314. And that fight wasn't on there. It would be on there. It wasn't. That fight is not real. Golden rule. Sleeto, I wasn't trying to call you out. We did was we were serving lessons to the people, okay? If it's not on our website, it ain't a thing. It's not real. Okay?
We're not calling you guys out. We're calling out some of the people who aggregated this.
Yeah.
I'm just saying
social media horseshit.
I totally forgot this happened. I'm just looking at a couple of the accounts that clearly boosted this, and I'm like, oh, that's definitely not real. Now I know why you're saying it wasn't real. I actually don't. I must have missed this rumor when it first started circulating. But so I just quickly went to social media now, and I was like, oh, Alvarez Saint-Denis, who was talking about this? Who was tweeting this out? And I saw a couple of names. I don't even want to give them attention, but a couple of familiar names. I'm like, if you see it from those guys, and you guys know who I'm talking about, definitely either wait to hear from us. You can DM us, guys. We'll look into it for you. But yeah, this was not real. I don't see any credible source that picked up Alvarez Saint-Denis. So
it's not real, guys.
It's not real.
I see some people saying it's for UFC 314. Looking at the UFC or 315
again
lineup, not there either. It is not there either.
And it could, listen, guys, we're not saying this fight can't happen. We're just saying it is not.
It could happen.
It totally could happen. It is not booked. It is not booked.
Yeah, it's not real. When that report came out, of course we asked about it, and we were told absolutely zero chance that fight's happening at that moment in time. So not real. Cool fight if it does happen. I'd love to see Joel Alvarez get an opportunity like that, but yeah, let's move on. Let's go to the wild card round, AK. Let's matchmake for somebody we have not matchmade for yet. I assume you are going to matchmake for Yasmin and Lucinda right now. It's only fair after giving Amanda Lemos so much time on this program. But all joking aside, who is your wildcard pick?
I did go with a young Brazilian with plenty of potential, and it was not Yasmin Lucindo. I got to go with Ultimate Fighter 32 winner, and now 2-0 in the UFC, Myron Santos. I also, of course, want to talk about the verdict of that fight a little bit. Watching live, yeah, I thought it was a little sus. I myself, I think, had it 29-28 Francis Marshall. I will say, I was not watching the fight super closely. Just working some other things. I have the fight on, of course, and there was the Marshall takedowns, which he didn't do a ton of offense with, but there was some control there. And I also did see exchanges on the feet that Santos was winning. Very close exchanges. Don't get me wrong. They're like the clashes where both guys were landing. And I think when they showed the replays later, they're actually somewhat favorable for Myron. I think like you could kind of see where he was getting his shots in. But boy, I was a little surprised. I will say I was a little surprised by the results. I don't want to call it a robbery, probably closer than it looked live. But I also thought Francis did enough to win. I don't think anyone would have been shocked by a 29-28 Francis Marshall score. I know commentary didn't agree. I saw some people, some media members have it 30-27 Francis Marshall. So if I get a chance to watch, I am curious to see how that goes. But not the most impressive win for Myron, but good for him. Did enough, get that win, get that extra check, stay undefeated in the UFC. He's a young guy. I think he's 24, 25, who also has a lot, but still has a lot of experience. So he's someone I want to build. I think there's potential there. And I think he's someone who's going to be a bit of a roller coaster. Like some nights he's going to look like a friggin' world beater, just first round KO smoking dudes. Some nights going to look like this fight. He's going to go the distance and you're going to be like, what is this guy doing? Why can't he put it all together? But he has a lot of time to put it together. So we build him up. Just a simple fight, someone lower ranked than him. Weston Wilson, wherever he is, let's get him back in there. I think that's a good next opponent for Myron Santos. And if he loses to Weston Wilson, it'll give us a real idea of where he is.
Yeah, that's not too shabby. Yeah, I just saw one. I'm kind of here. I'm very close to the R word. I don't like to throw that word out too often, but I mean, I'm on the doorstep. I'm like this, but do I actually want to knock on the door? Do I want to ring the doorbell? I'm not really sure, but I'm damn close. I'm definitely close to it. There's just no world where Myron Santos won 2 rounds. There's just no way you can give him rounds 1 or 3. It's just not possible. There is more of a case for 30-27 Francis Marshall than there is for 29-28 Santos, in my opinion. I know if you look at UFC stats, like Santos landed more strikes overall in the fight, but yeah, I just don't see it, man. I just don't see it. So I'm not gonna throw the R word out, but I'm real close to it.
13,
leave it at that.
13 media members on MMA Decisions registered. 13 picked Francis Marshall. 10 had it 30-27 Marshall. So again, I'm not giving my full.
Did anyone score for Santos?
Not one. 13
okay,
for 13, all Marshall. 10 out of those 13 said that Santos did not win a round. So again, I did not win and watch closely enough, guys. So I apologize to comment on it. You guys can draw your own conclusions. You saw the fight, or you saw what people are saying about the fight. But this is going to be a rough one for the Marshall and his team to take for sure.
100%, because I think it's 3 losses in a row for him now.
I think it is now. Yeah. No. He won a splitty against. Didn't he win a? Or I think of someone else. Yeah, he won a splitty against Bazukja in a lightweight fight.
Oh, that's right. That's right. Okay, I'm going with Rafael Fiziev because I want to throw this man a bone. Guy steps in, 12 days notice, gives Justin Gaethje a hell of a fight of the night. Rolling off the couch, essentially. Like, he was training, obviously, but he wasn't preparing for anybody, especially the 3rd best lightweight in the world, according to the UFC rankings, and gave Justin all he could handle and then some. So we're going to give him the fight he wants. We're going to give him Mateusz Gamrot. Let's give him the rematch. Let's get the fight we all deserve as fans, because that first round between Fiziev and Gamrot ruled. It was incredible. We were on our way to a thrilling main event, and then Fiziev suffered that injury, and it sucks, and this is the fight Fiziev wants. If the UFC called Fiziev right now and said, realistically, we'll give you any fight you want, you pick, he would pick Mateusz Gamrot. And I know they tried to make this fight. People were reporting that it was a done deal. Again, did not end up on MMAfighting.com, which is a terrific website. And there's a reason for that. Fiziev said yes. Gamrot very publicly said, no, what are we doing here? Fake news, not a real thing. And now I don't think Gamrot's going to have much of a choice. They're just gonna be like, all right, man, you either fight Fiziev or you don't fight at all. And I think we're going to get it.
Yeah, I like it because I'm glad you picked Gamrot because honestly, he kind of was in play for like Bahamondes or Rufy, probably too soon for them, but certainly was in play. So I thought one of us would bring it up earlier, but that's the right way to go. Yeah, I think Fazeev coming off a loss is the right way to go, and hopefully Gamrot is already thinking about it because yeah, we got to close that loop. We didn't really get to see that fight.
Yes. All right. Let's go to the peeps. You guys, we're gonna wild card it for the next 15 or so minutes. The super chats get to the front of the line. So let's get into this. Shout out to Scott, you the man. Sleeto, Lemos, Lucindo, or Rose Carla 2?
Like which was worse?
Oh yeah. Oh, touche. Okay, I thought we were going here.
Matchmaking.
Lemos Lucindo was Yuri versus Glover compared to Rose Collar 2, if we're being honest. Van versus Bruno Silva. Sure. Josh Van is fun as hell, man.
That was the original booking, right? Or was the yes, because Racer.
It was. So we're running this one back.
So I just want to read a poll result real quick. Mike, I asked who was the biggest winner of UFC 313. Unsurprisingly, Magomed Ankalaev 44%. I actually thought Rufy, who came in second, 28%, would be higher just because that knockout was so good. But I mean, clearly Ankalaev won the main event, won a title, beat Alex Pereira. So yeah, no surprise there. Justin Gaethje 22%, Ignacio Bahamondes 4%. Amanda Lemos, I did not put on the poll, so you guys can leave in the comments if you thought Amanda Lemos was the big winner.
Cito adds if the UFC hates Dariush, Ruffy will get his shot. I mean, Dariush could win that fight, man.
Maybe, or he's going on a legend killer tour here and just getting some of these older guys. Because we were saying in the chat, like, all love to Bobby Green, but he's clearly, in the twilight of his career, maybe a little past twilight. Like 4 years ago, that spin kick does not catch Bobby Green as cleanly as it did. But no, he's 50 pro fights into his career now and 39 years old. Like, it sucks to say because I'm not saying he should retire. Like, if he still needs to compete, he still likes fighting, he's still making good money, he should go for it. But these finishes will start racking up. We saw with Tony Ferguson, these things just happen. So, but congrats to Rufy. That was amazing. But I don't know if I need to see him fight another sort of up there in age lightweight.
Yeah, we're as we were watching on the watch party, we were noticing Bobby Green was looking pretty slow out there. It was kind of tough to watch, honestly. We're like, man, he's just got no pop to anything he's really doing. Like, he's still fun and he's talking shit and doing Bobby Green things, and we appreciate that. We love Bobby Green. He's a character, and he's fun and great fighter. He's got some great wins, giving us some cool moments, but you just kind of saw that coming. Obviously, we didn't see a spinning heel kick coming as the tail end of a combination from Mauricio Rufy, which is insane. But yeah, shout out to Rufy. Nick Davis, thank you. We had the UFC 314 press conference. Can Bryce Mitchell say or do anything to get back in the fans' good graces? Which, AK, I got to tell you, Casey and I had a great time reliving the UFC 314 press conference. Gian Silva just stealing the show. Bryce Mitchell with the "What are you, a scientist now?" line, which gave us all some chuckles. But Bryce got booed out of that building, and it's the correct reaction, honestly, but I was a little surprised that he was just mercifully booed like that. Mercilessly, whatever the fucking word is, just booed like that in Las Vegas at a UFC press conference. Truly was a little surprised by that. But can Bryce Mitchell do anything to turn those boos into cheers at any point?
Yeah, just educate yourself, man. Like, I mean, I don't think Bryce deserves anyone's sympathy or understanding at this point, given the comments he's made. There are certain groups of people who are furious with him, hurt by the things he said, and they are under no obligation to forgive him just because he issued that apology on social media, which genuine, perhaps. I don't know. You guys can be the judge of how sincere that was. He hurt a lot of people. He hurt a lot of people and offended a lot of people and insulted a lot of people's intelligence. And he just needs to educate himself. He needs to educate himself. He needs to learn things, learn history, just be a little more open-minded about listening to people. It just feels like he's so made up his mind on these dumb opinions and these stupid conspiracy theories. And again, at heart, maybe he's not a bad person. I don't know. You've interviewed Bryce. I've interviewed Bryce. Bryce was really good with the media when he was coming up, and he made a lot of I don't want to say friends, but I think a lot of positive relationships in the media. And I definitely enjoyed talking to Bryce early on. I didn't get the sense that he was a malicious person. but just uneducated. And I hope he can learn things and spread a positive message using the platform he has, because he's a well-known UFC fighter now, guys. He's not like a level mainstream guy. He's well known. He has a platform. The things he says matters, and it will require a big change in his perspective. So is there anything to say? Yeah, of course there is. No one is beyond redemption. Does he want it? Does he care? Does he think he's just like Jesus and that he's being, these things are being cast upon him and he's just enduring as a good Christian boy? If that's the case, then I mean, that's, again, we're heading in the wrong direction. But I want to believe there's hope for Bryce to really, again, I'll say it again, educate himself and turn things around and spread a more positive message.
This is sports. This is MMA. This is the UFC. I don't think people will forget what he said. I think people will continue to give him shit for it, and rightfully so. But in this sport, people really, truly only care about your last fight. Bryce Mitchell goes out there and has a fight of the year contender with Gian Silva. Win or lose, that'll help. If he obliterates Gian Silva, whether people like him or not, that is going to help him. And that's just the nature of the beast. And it's not just MMA. It's like that in any sport. You could say some heinous shit. You could do some heinous shit. But if you go out there on Sunday at the Masters and fucking win, man, like, people forget all of it. And that's just sports at the end of the day.
That's
so
true.
That's a big, winning will be big. Not getting the doors blown off will be big. If he just goes out there and has a fun ass fight, and then look, if Bryce Mitchell goes out there and has a banger with Gian Silva and then gets on the mic and apologizes and says, like, look, man, I'm sorry if I hurt people, like, that is going to go over huge. It's just going to be gigantic. So, anybody can, if Joaquin Buckley can come back, and I know he didn't say the things that Bryce Mitchell said, but he got back quick. Jamal Hill's gotten back a little quicker than I thought he would in a lot of people's minds. It probably should take longer for Bryce, but yeah, he goes out there, has a great performance, says the right thing on the mic. I think he'll be okay. All right, let's go to the peeps. Gerard, Ankalaev versus the Jan Ulberg winner. There's just no chance they're doing the Jan fight. There's no chance.
I don't know.
Pereira versus the Jan Ulberg loser. I don't hate that, but
I think there's even less chance of that.
Really?
Yeah. Again,
yeah,
I think
Pereira's not going to fight at 205 unless he's fighting for the belt.
He has options. He just has so many options to not have to, battle his way back the traditional way. Yeah.
Gaethje versus the Pimblett Chandler winner. 0% chance that fight happens.
Nah. Not interested.
0%. Fiziev versus Joel Alvarez. Love to see it.
Hold on. Actually.
Nope.
Pimblett Gaethje. Listen, Mike.
Nope.
I hit on Pimblett Ferguson. I hit on Pimblett Chandler.
They're not going to do it. They're not going to do it.
Let me see the fight. Let me see how that fight plays out first. I'm not ruling it out. I don't want to contradict myself in
Gone.
a
No
month
chance.
or two.
0 chance. 0 chance. Fiziev versus Joel Alvarez. It'd be cool, but I don't think Fiziev's going to get that fight, especially after doing the UFC a favor. Bob Monday's Gamrot, I could see. Lemos versus Suarez. Interesting. I thought about that.
That's not bad.
I thought about that, but I don't know. Suarez could be out for a minute. We'll see what happens there. Ruffy versus Dawson could definitely happen. Van versus Esteban. Bruno versus Shara. Ooh. That's interesting. Leal versus Salikov.
Okay.
Santos versus Naimov.
Pretty good all around.
There you go.
I thought that's
not too shabby.
Gerard. Yeah, I think Gerard's a veteran. I think he knows what he's doing.
Do you know when Blades versus Kuniev will be rebooked? I don't know. I really don't know.
Yeah, we're not,
I don't think it'll be too long. I mean,
no.
Yeah, I don't think it'll be too long. Like, if they didn't get 315 or something, like, it wouldn't surprise me. There's no room for it on 314, so you can't do it there. There's 15 fights on that card. 15 of them right now, including some women's bantamweight action on that card.
Oh, man. Of course. Don't ask me to name who it is. I'm just going to nod my head and go like, yeah.
Nora Canoli versus Haley Cowan. Is happening.
Was going to be my fourth guess, so I would have gotten it eventually. Blades Kuniev. This was delayed already. This was supposed to be on Seattle first, right? This was supposed to be on Seattle, right? Yep. And then got shifted to the pay-per-view, and now was going to This
is this the heavyweight really Habib versus Tony Ferguson?
I don't know. It might be,
keep
man.
Getting it?
This could be real funny.
Simam Kali. I hope I got that right. Thank you for this. Fiziev versus Dawson. Bahamundits versus Guram Kutateladze. After the Fernandez fight, Mauricio Rufy versus Jared Gordon. I think Rufy's probably gotten, no disrespect Jared Gordon, he's gotten a little bit better than that. Honestly, like he's going to be ranked. I don't think he's going to fight Jared Gordon after this. Ferreira versus the loser of Muniz versus Aliskerov.
Okay.
Don't hate that. And rebook the Josh Van Bruno Silva fight.
People really want that one. Yeah, that was a good. That was a really good matchup on paper. Shout out to we haven't even spoken about Josh Van at all, have we? Shout out to Josh Van.
Dude's so good.
Very good performance against Ray Surya. Again, Ray's another young guy, but this was you guys probably heard ad nauseum by now. The first UFC matchup between fighters born in the 2000s. Ray is extremely green in the sport. I mean, he's 10-0. I know he's 10-0 heading into it, but the experience jump up to a Josh Van who's had a lot of good experience, probably a similar amount of fights, but I think his level of competition has been a notch better, and it looked like and Ray's not bad. It's not like Ray. I don't think Ray looks terrible. It's just Josh is a future title content challenge. Like I think I think Josh is on the Max Holloway title arc where like he might take a loss or 2 or 3 early on, and at some point Joshua Van's going to hit his stride and just be rattling off just wins, and we're going to see him contend and possibly win the title. He is really good. Very impressed by Joshua.
He's going to fight for the lightweight title or for the flyweight title.
I think so.
He's going to fight for the flyweight title. RS40 Leal versus Renat 2.
He wants it. I think he wants
or
it.
Vanderford. RS40, you got to land on one or the other. Okay?
We don't
you
do
want that point.
We don't do ors here.
Yeah. Rufy versus CDF. Van versus Amir Al-Bazi. Wow.
Whoa.
Okay. I love it. I like it.
It could happen.
Bahamundis versus BSD. Ozzy Diaz versus Gerald Mearshart.
Oh man, that's a bit of a step up.
Is that doo-doo?
Are they buddies? No.
I think Mearshart's booked. I believe he's booked.
While you look,
he is.
Okay.
April 5th. Brad Tavares.
Oh yes. Oh wow. What a middleweight matchup. What a middleweight matchup. Can he submit Brad? If he submits Brad Tavares, that would be amazing.
Boy,
that would be amazing.
A little chance for Extreme Couture to get one back
Brad
after the Edmund Shabazian.
Brad Tavares is going to end up with like 40 career MMA fights, UFC fights, I should say.
Yeah.
He's been with
John Ray, Alex versus Cyril Gahn. He's saying move up to heavyweight, which by the way, if we're up to me, I would do the same thing.
Just go up.
I would just go up. Go fight Derek Lewis. Who gives a shit? All he needs is one win and he's fighting for the belt.
Yeah.
Like, go just do that.
Cyril's a good choice.
It is a good choice.
That's a good
I like
choice.
That. Him and Pereira and Pavlovich would be fun. Yeah. Like there's tons of options at heavyweight that are somewhat compelling. He's 37 too. Like the window's closing. He likes Justin versus Charles too. I feel like if Justin Gaethje is going to retire, he will retire fighting Charles Oliveira. Like that'll be his like last fight.
Okay.
If he has like the Poirier, like I'm doing one more last dance, he will probably fight Charles Oliveira. Because just listen to any time Gaethje talks about Oliveira in that fight and what he took away from it.
I'd watch it again.
Mondays versus Rufy, Lemos versus Janan, win or lose.
Good picks. Good picks, John Ray. Good picks.
Tristan likes Baja Mondays versus Joel Alvarez.
Yeah. What's going on with Joel Alvarez? No, he's not booked. I don't.
No, he's not booked against anybody.
Yeah.
Even
I'm into it. I'm into it, Tristan.
Thank you, Tia. Sorry, I apologies if I got that wrong. Rufy versus Moicano. I thought about this. I did think about this. I was very close to pulling the trigger on this fight.
It's a distinct possibility. I would even like Moicano's chances in that fight. Like, I don't even think that's a. Mike, actually, I'm asking quick. Who do you rank higher after Saturday? Rufy or Bahamondes?
Bahamondes.
You rank Bahamondes because you had Jalen. You would have had Jalen Turner theoretically higher than King.
Because I didn't have in my personal rankings. I did not have Green ranked.
I don't have either. I don't think I have
Turner. Turner, I did.
You did. Okay. So just
pretty sure I had him ranked.
Just by the numbers, Bahamondes would jump up over.
Yeah.
Rufy and Green. Okay, interesting. Yeah, I don't know. In that case, yeah, I think Rufy versus Moicano makes sense. What's the second? Leal Brian battle.
Can I just say?
Yeah.
This is one of my favorite picks so far today.
It's very good,
dude. That's wild. That's a wild ass fight.
I think I have them. Dang, have you been looking at my rankings? I think I have them like right next to each other after yesterday. I have who am I looking at here? My brain just went blank. I have Leal. Man, that was a good finish too, by the way. I mean, I know he was heavily favored, but I have Leal 42. I have Brian Battle 37. And if anyone's asking how can Brian be so low given the run he's been on, just I think I dinged him a bit for the weight miss. He probably should be in the top 30. I do think Brian is probably in the top 30 actually. But yeah, this would be if he beats Leal, I would sort of jump him back up. I would jump him back up to like 30 and give him a top 20 matchup probably in the next fight. So very good matchup. I like that.
He needs a redemption fight because I don't even. I thought he lost the Randy Brown fight as well.
Yes, that too.
Despite the weight miss. So
and then
just
poor Mike work after, like just poor Mike work after.
Yeah,
it was
great.
really not. It should have been again the fight that like moved him, jumped him up the rankings, and like just a lot went wrong.
Roofy versus Rebecki? Damn.
I love it.
Hey, Mauricio, great win, great knockout. Let's give you this absolute unranked maniac.
It's a great fight. It's a great fight. Roofy's gonna be one of those guys, man. I feel like there's no bad matchup. Like I know we want to reward him and push him up the rankings, but there's just so many good lightweights and so many that he can have an exciting fight with. So yeah, I'm into that too. I wanted Rebecki for Hackparast after that recent fight, but yeah, if that doesn't happen and they go with him and Roofy, great.
This is a troll job. Come on.
Why?
Come on.
Crazy. For the we should have the podcast. For the podcast.
First round.
Crazy.
Gamera would have submitted Gaethje in the first round. Come on. Let's not be.
Yeah,
crazy
I don't think so.
Yeah. Another Roofy versus Baja Mondays. Let's see which prospect rises rather than booking them in separate fights where they could both maybe lose.
Yeah, and I don't think either guy, again, it's one of those matchups, either guy isn't like ruined by a loss. Like, okay, back to the drawing board. They're just both in the thick of that mid tier, upper mid tier. Sorry, lightweight is so deep. You got to do a lot. Upper mid tier of lightweight, but they haven't like clearly separated themselves from it yet. So you might have to fight, put them up against each other to figure that out.
Baja Mondays versus Boycano, sure. Rematch of the main event, sure. Lemos versus the loser or Verna versus Jean.
No, Joseph.
Verna cannot be involved in this.
We just saw Verna tap Lemos out. Why would they
killed her?
Why would she have to do that fight again if she lost? No, that win, lose, or draw Jan just makes so much more sense. But thank you, Joseph.
She smoked her.
You
absolutely smoked her.
You have no reason to run that one back. Yeah. Anytime soon.
What else we got? Roofy versus Dawson? Sure.
Yeah.
I could see that one.
I see.
There you go. The people's main event.
Oh my gosh.
Hank versus Craig too.
Hold on. Okay. What kind of run of form is Paul Craig in these days? Let's see.
He's a middleweight. He just lost a Bo Nickel fight.
He has lost 3 straight fights. 5 of his last 6, including his last 2 at light heavyweight, excuse me, Johnny Walker and Volkan. That's a tough sell. I do love, you know.
Look, Yoel Romero's getting title shots after like 3 straight losses. So
if Paul Craig came back up to 205, if he beat the winner and then just beat the winner of like the Blachowicz Ulberg fight, I mean, they still. It's just be so funny to see them fight again. How crazy is it though that like that 1 second, that submission threw Ankalaev's career in such a weird arc, right? Because if he just beats Paul Craig, I don't know if the matchmaking is that different. Like I'm trying to think, who did he? Let's do a quick walk down memory lane here. So March 2018. Again, for anyone who's not familiar, I don't know if people remember this. Ankalaev UFC debut, cruising, going to win a clear decision against Paul Craig. Submits to a triangle choke, literally 4:59 mark of the 3rd round. So after that, Ankalaev fights Prachnio, Klidson Abreu, Lanjun Bula. Yeah, losing to Craig really kind of bumped him into a lower tier. Like I think if he beats Paul Craig, he gets slightly better opposition than that. And as you guys know, had to win go undefeated in 13 straight fights for getting this shot at UFC 313. So, man, how weird. That 1 second changed so much. Ankalaev could have been champion way earlier, I think. That's weird.
Yep.
That's so weird.
What about this? Ivan Kuchalapa versus Ankalaev 3.
We talked about the
with a win over Modestas
Oh
Bukauskas. Maybe he gets there. Maybe he gets there.
The first fight, the accidental rope-a-dope, or that led to a loss for Kuchalapa, and then I don't know, guys. I think Ankalaev answered that question in the second fight. But
yeah. Last one, then we're gonna get out of here. How about Josh Van versus Kaya Sakura? AK.
I love it. I've said I want to see Kai go up to 135, but we haven't heard any indication that that's the plan. I have him. I have Kai. I've kept Kai ranked at 125. So yeah, if he wants to stick around, exciting fighter. Depending on how things go with Pantoja, Pantoja loses belt anytime soon. Kai could be like 2 highlight reel knockouts away from maybe fighting for the title again. It's not the deepest division. And Josh Van, huge test. Big test for Josh Van. That's pretty creative. I like that.
And then one more super chat, Lito, AK. I think Bryce educating himself is the problem.
This is true. We know Bryce reads stuff. Maybe the sources are questionable. So that's a good comment, Lito. You're right.
Quite the conversation going on about the better win, whether it's beating Bobby Green or King Green, or beating Jalen Turner. So interesting stuff there. Ladies and gentlemen, I think we are done here. But guys, just when you think like it can't get any better, wait till you see what the UFC is giving the fans of this fine sport next week. UFC Vegas 104. No longer happening at the world's most famous Apex, by the way. Breaking news. It is now happening at the world's most mightiest Apex. Never forget, Mark Shapiro. The mighty Apex, which feels the same as a 20,000 seat arena.
Yeah, of course it does.
Listen to this freaking fight card. The main event. A rematch of all rematches. This is for the middleweight title. Like all the middleweights. Marvin Vettori versus Roman Dolidze. A fight so thrilling, so eventful, so impactful that Marvin Vettori thought he was fighting Roman Kopylov and not Roman Dolidze after he signed the contract and after the fight was announced. There you have it. Co-main event should be fun. Elijah Zaleski versus Chidi Njokuwadi.
I like it.
DR Nergozai versus Brenson Ribeiro.
Okay.
Damon Blackshear versus Cody Gibson.
Okay.
This is a main card fight, by the way. Alexander Hernandez versus Kurt Holloway.
That's gonna be good.
Should be fun.
Kurt's not.
That's gonna be fun.
Kurt does not have boring fights.
Also on the main card, Kevin Vallejos versus Sungwoo Choi.
Could be good.
Andre Lima versus Daniel Barres. And folks, if you are going to the world's mightiest Apex, not only do you bring a heavyweight fight,
Oh my
but
lord!
you bring the middleweightiest heavyweight on earth, Waldo Cortez Acosta,
What is the over
fighting
on this?
Ryan Spann, who moves up to heavyweight for this contest.
What is the over on this fight? What can I get? What odds can I get today? If
I don't think it's dropped yet.
FanDuel. I'm going to FanDuel right now.
There's no way it's dropped yet.
Go on.
No,
Go
it's
on. I'm looking. Go on, Mike. Go on. Keep running down.
In women's flyweight action,
Ooh.
Eunice Dubin versus Carly Judice. I like Carly Judice a lot. She is real fun. Sam Hughes versus Stephanie Luciano in women's strawweight action.
Okay.
In men's bantamweight action, Josias Musasa versus Carlos Vera. In featherweight action, Su Young Yu versus AJ Cunningham. And kicking things off, at least as of right now, they might bump this up to the main event, maybe the co-main event. AK, the future UFC women's bantamweight champion, Josiane Nunes versus Priscilla Cachoeira. That is happening. World's mightiest Apex. 13 can't miss fights. 4 p.m. Eastern start time. How we feeling? UFC Vegas.
I
Good
guarantee you.
grief.
I guarantee you by Thursday I'll have talked myself into this card not being that bad. I think I said what did I give the Cop Elmabayev card? I was like 6.4 out of 6.4, something like that. It's like degree of difficulty, the best it could be. And it did turn out to be like a decent card. So if people
Did I miss a fight?
Is that even possible? You mentioned Evan Elder and Markel Medeiros.
Did that fight get canceled?
Maybe. I'm looking at Wikipedia, not at Topology. So Topology.
It did get Topology said it was canceled.
Okay. So maybe that one's that cancellation.
Maybe Markel Medeiros might get a replacement opponent. Maybe we get a short notice fight. Who the hell knows?
Don't tease the fans. Don't tease the fans with this excitement, Mike. It's your responsibility as a journalist not to do this. But I probably will talk myself into this card. I don't think it'll reach a 6.4 on the degree of difficulty scale, which is what I did with you the last Apex card, which hit it, by the way. I think it just about hit it. I think it just about reached its potential. Like, that card was not bad. So this one has a smaller hill to climb. So I'll set the bar low, probably around like 6, flat 6, and maybe it reaches it. And that's like not bad to say that.
This fight card is so memorable, ladies and gentlemen. AK, who makes my schedule for the week, decided to give me the night off. I didn't ask for it. He just gave it to me.
It was
because that is the impact of this card. Too much excitement.
I said, you need to calm down. You need to calm down.
But all we got to do is get through this, okay? We just got to get through next week.
Salsa Boy and Ryan Spann. This is a real fight.
Get through next week. That's a real fight.
This is a real fight, and so is Hamdi Abdel Wahab and Mo Usman not in this card, but upcoming. That's a real fight too.
That's the Qatar card.
Heavyweight is on fuego. God, heavyweight is on fire.
God,
my
goodness. Like 18 heavyweights.
Yeah.
That's why Ryan Spann moved up, because all you need is one win. He'll be like, if he wins, he'll be like the 7th ranked heavyweight if he beats Waldo Cortez Acosta. We get through this card.
Lazy Bet,
and then
sorry, I was going to say Lazy Bet. 4.37 is his degree of difficulty of this card. Real low. So he's setting the bar real low. So that's good, Lazy Bet. Maybe you'll have a good time. I don't know. That's a very low bar.
We get through this, then we go to London for Leanna Richards to Sean Brady.
Hey.
Then we got Mexico City, Brandon Moreno versus Vidi Siggs, Steve Erceg.
Love.
Then we're back to the Mighty Apex for, just a terrific main event. Josh Emmett versus Lerone Murphy. Like, all honesty, that's a terrific main event. And then it's UFC 314. So I think just like kind of looking at the current slate, we just got to get through next week. And then I think we're going to be off and running a little bit.
And we don't have a free Saturday until the 19th, I'm seeing. It looks like April 19th. There's no card.
Yep. After 314. After 314, we get a break, and then the road show continues for the next 3 cards.
Hey.
So we're at the Mighty Apex April 5th, and then it's on the road for the next 4 events. Miami, Kansas City, Des Moines, Iowa.
Oh, baby.
And Montreal, Quebec, Canada for UFC 315. Yes. So there you have it. Well, thank you all very much. You guys rule. You're the best. And get some sleep, everybody. Catch up on that hour we lost. Enjoy your Sunday. I don't know what else to say. I'm just so hyped for UFC Vegas 104. For AK, I am Mike Heck. Always remember the golden rule.
Time. Big Ank time. Big Ank time. Mike, just try it. It's like Shama, but it's better.
Goodbye, everybody. Congratulations to Magomed Ankalaev, though, in all seriousness.